Welcome back to GoldSeek TV. I'm here with a very exciting update from Kootenay Silver, who put more results out from their Columba project. Jim McDonald, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, Peter, it's good to be here.
You have some big news out this morning again from the Columba project in Mexico, a very high-grade silver project. You continue to finish up your drilling campaign. So please share with us what the latest drill results are showing from the latest batch of data.
Yeah, so this morning we put 4 more holes out. 3 of those 4 holes hit over ½ kilo silver. We continue to hit good width vein, good and really excellent grades. The most important hole and the best hole out of that batch was a hole that had 6 meters of 435 grams per ton silver. The core of that was the best out of that was a meter of over 800 grams, and it sits within a broader interval, which is important, of 22 meters, 174 grams per ton. So it's a big fat zone with a real rich core and wide open for expansion.
So you're continuing to have one kind of hit after another in the D vein. It's confirming kind of the theory that you've had of how the structure is coming together. Is that continuing to show itself here with the latest results? This D vein is continuing to hold together like you would like to see.
Yeah, absolutely it is, and it's of course only one of the veins that was turned into a vein district that we've been uncovering here the last several years. And it looks like to be one of the most important veins because of the consistent, not just the consistent hits. This round of drilling is 12 holes, and we've hit 12 out of 12 holes on the vein where expected. So that's quite excellent, and with really good widths. And so, and then the grades are great. So it's really expanding in size, and it's got lots of room for more growth. At surface, we can see this vein continuing for about another 800 or 900 meters, where it intersects another vein where we have almost equally as good widths and grades showing up as well.
Yeah, I noticed in the results that showed that you intersected the other vein is that vein that will be explored more going forward, or has it already been defined a bit?
No, the intersecting vein is called the B vein, and as opposed to the D vein that we're drilling now. But yeah, it's very, very lightly drilled, and one of the better holes on that particular vein is 4.6 meters of almost 1,200 grams per ton. So really good numbers out of that vein as well.
So you just mentioned that this vein isn't as large as the other veins. When I was looking at the map, you do see, I think it was a K and J, other veins that run much longer. So yeah, it'd be nice to kind of understand how these veins vary from one to another, and what, you said the consistency of this one is better than the other ones, but the other ones are much larger in length. So how do they compare, and what do you see between these different veins?
Well, the vein we're drilling now, what makes it stand out are the really excellent widths and grades. So it's opened up really well. And out of all the other veins, we haven't tested all the other veins, but there's veins there we can trace for almost 4 kilometers in length. Wow. And are partly drilled, or some are not drilled at all. So there's a lot of work to do here, a lot of upside potential. We've got the size of vein system where we think we could have 100 million ounces of resource there potentially, or even more. It's of that sort of scale. And when you look at these, this is a classic epithermal vein system. And when you look at these classic systems throughout Mexico and the world, you'll often have 2-3 structures that will hold the vast majority of your resources. And those structures make everything else you find work on the project. And so the D vein is certainly showing the potential to be one of those structures with the widths and grades that we're seeing.
So this is really kind of the pearl of may be the pearl vein, kind of the one of the main structures that makes really this project into what you just mentioned. Hopefully, that 100 million plus ounce kind of a target. What sort of work is still needed in the coming months to work towards this objective? What will the next kind of drilling look like?
Yeah, so lots of drilling. That's what it needs. We've been working here for 4 years now.
Mhm.
We've completed 130,000 meters and 147 holes. There's 2 more holes to come from this current program. And we've mapped the structures on surface. We've got a really good idea what you can see. We've also discovered blind veins that don't even come to surface. And so we need a lot of drilling just to define these things. And we've got a program designed here for next year. The next step is 20,000 more meters of drilling to do. And that would be focused on systematically stepping out on this D vein, some infill on the historic vein where we already have 40 holes, and then start defining that B vein that we reference as well. And the objective here is to come out with a maiden resource late next year.
So you're about a year away from a maiden resource. You're having really good results. It's a very high grade project. It has been actually mined in the past. If you give us a little bit of history, this is 100-plus-year-old former producing mine. What were the old timers doing down there?
Yeah, so really interesting. It's two periods of historic mining, 1900 to 1910 on the F vein, and they put down a shaft 200 meters there and 6 tunnels and levels off that. And it was the historic assay records that from that old mine that got us attracted to the property, because it showed some really incredible consistent grades along these tunnels. And so when we acquired the property, the option to earn 100%, the first thing we did was drill across that to confirm it, and we certainly did. And that old mine is flooded. Some private group took another crack at it in 1958, 1960 on a small scale. And when we acquired the option for 100%, nothing had been done in over 40 years here.
Wow. For those who may have not kind of followed the history of Mexico, the laws changed in the 90s to allow more, I believe it opened up to the foreign investment, to foreigners who were able to come in and apply more modern technology drilling. I believe a lot of these old mines, they kind of just follow these veins and then they ran out and they didn't do a lot of exploration work. So it seems like there's a lot of opportunity in these kind of projects that go in, and you do spend a lot of money, but you're drilling away and really expanding things that these old timers, they just didn't have access to these kind of tools. So it sounds like a lot of old mines in Mexico have had some interesting worked on it, but it didn't really, they just followed the veins and that was it. They just kind of stopped.
Well, in that early 1900 period, that would be more or less it. The vein outcropped, it grades at surface in that location, and so they just started developing it. And the laws changed in the early 1990s, and that brought in a lot of money. So really, a lot of these areas and districts have incredible potential and were under or are underexplored because of lack of capital. That was the main thing. Not really that the technology was there too, but they were just undercapitalized. And so in the case of Columba, it was sitting there for 40 years for different reasons, and with no work on it. And now we started working on it. And the other interesting, and to great success, the other interesting thing about Columba is that it is the vein system's barely exposed at surface, just the way it's eroded. It's exposed at the bottom of a volcanic crater, and that has just clipped the top of the veins. As you follow those veins sideways and go up the side of the hills, they disappear because you're above the actual top of the vein system, but it's still there hidden. And you can continue to map the structure it's in, but you don't necessarily see that vein. So it was also underappreciated because it's just not exposed. There's hardly any erosion here. So whatever was originally deposited here is pretty much still there, which is another really exciting aspect of this property.
And what are you finding as far as these veins sitting? Are they more like horizontal, or are they dipping
No, they're steep. Like
they're steep,
they're near vertical for the most part.
vertical?
Yeah.
So you would go in there, and in a potential mining situation, what kind of approach would a miner take to these kind of veins?
Yeah, these are classic veins, Mexican veins. So it'd be underground mining, and with underground mining methods appropriate for veins. And of course, most of the silver mining districts in Mexico are underground high-grade veins or vein structures. And so the expertise for doing that in Mexico is there. There's plenty of it. They know how to do that. They know how to do that very, very well.
Yeah, still the #1 producer of silver in the world, and lots of silver left to be explored. I know this is not your only project, but this one is really maybe the most exciting at this point for Kootenay because of the high grade aspect and a lot of potential to add ounces. So you're looking to continue drilling into next year. You mentioned maiden resource late next year. That should add quite a bit of ounces to a really large portfolio. So if you could just again share what the size of the current Kootenay portfolio is, silver equivalent wise.
Yeah, so Peter, we have 3 different deposits on 2 properties with 43-101 resource estimates on them, totaling 214 million silver equivalent ounces in the measured and indicated category, and another 54.9 million in inferred. So we have incredible leverage just to the silver price, in addition to the value we're creating with this exciting new high-grade discovery at Columba.
Exciting. Well, with a little more help here with gold, maybe silver can kick on to high gear too, and start to get some more excitement back in the sector. In the meantime, you're actively adding more ounces and expanding your discoveries at Columba. It's an excellent period to be doing a lot of work when a lot of companies are not doing so. So you're in a in a good position here to benefit from a nice move in the silver price. I understand you were at a silver conference or precious metals conference recently, and you're starting to see some mood change. Is the sector finally starting to have some hope come back into it? You're starting to see some more interest?
Well, yeah, you are. It didn't hurt that gold was starting to break old highs, so that gets everybody excited. But over the last several weeks, a couple of months, there has been a sentiment change, very distinct. It's not a bull market by any means, but people are interested again. People are looking to position themselves again in the precious metal sector. And so the interest is coming back, and we see that as a turning point, and possibly the next leg up in what we think is going to be a very strong bull run, especially for silver, because silver has never really taken off on that next leg like gold did 3 years ago.
That's right. Well, I continue to accumulate and build, stack the vault with a physical and a big investor and various silver companies, including Kootenay, a long-term shareholder here. So I'm very pleased to see the progress, and I loved the leverage to the silver price. So if we can get some help from the silver market, expect better days ahead for the entire sector. I love to hear that there is a bit of a sentiment now changing, and a lot of investors who have kind of left for the last years are hopefully now starting to pay more attention. So we'll have to see how this goes. But skeptically optimistic, as one has to be, I guess, in this sector. But it does feel like it's time for another upcycle. So looking forward to the next final. So there's a couple more results coming from the D vein, you said, to end the 2023 drill program, and then you'll look at the 2024.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we have 2 more holes to come that are stepping out eastward, where it's wide open and heading towards that other high grade vein. So pretty important holes. hope to be able to put those out in about a week's time.
Great. Well, we'll look out for those and see how the step outs go. And look forward to following up then, Jim. Thank you for the update and your time today.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. Thank you, Peter.